Thank you, Ken. So, good morning. It's not more about my personal journey, rather it's about this book which I wrote and published in 2012 in Pakistan. In English it may mean the rise of state aristocracy in Pakistan. Actually, everybody in Pakistan and outside Pakistan has a question. And I remember Leon Lu was telling me, Pakistan is a mystery to me. So what is the state of Pakistan? What is the economy and politics of Pakistan? I have tried to understand, analyze that ailment in this book, and this book has been considered in Pakistan as a path-breaking book. It not only diagnoses the ailment, but it also suggests, recommends what should be done. And my paper actually is a summary of this book in the form of salient points, in the form of important points. So you have seen this book and its title also. It is पाकिस्तान में रियासती अशराफिया का उरूज. In English it means in Urdu this book title is पाकिस्तान में रियासती अशराफिया का उरूज. And in English it means the rise of state aristocracy in Pakistan. I have distinguished between two terms, aristocracy and elite. So when I read my paper, then you will come to know what's the difference between aristocracy and elite class. Okay. Actually, I am a teacher, and in classroom we don't use mic, so I thought it's okay, to talk without mic. So it was in 2011 that our institute wanted to hold a series of seminars on the theme Not for Ashrafia, Pakistan for Everyone. Ashrafia is an Urdu word meaning those who are of higher descent, who are of higher birth, you can say, and ironically, everyone is born the same way. There is no different way for anyone to be born in this world. In Pakistan, the word elite is in vogue. The word elite means a class of persons superior to others because of their intelligence, wealth, social standing, etc. That's why the nearest word for Ashrafia, for Urdu word Ashrafia, is aristocracy. Aristocracy is a hereditary class and at the same time makes a ruling class also. Thus the slogan, Not for Ashrafia, Pakistan for Everyone means not for the aristocratic classes, but Pakistan for everyone. For the same seminar, I thought of writing a 2-3 page explanation of the slogan. But the paper kept on expanding and I let it. I tried to state my argument with as much detail as I could at that moment. In that sense, it's not a planned book. Rather, it's an elaborate argument. Here are some of the important points of my formulation thesis that this book presents. First, the book tries to argue that rule of this or that class, such as rule of philosophers or rule of the proletariat, puts one class in conflict with other classes and does not resolve the problem. Also that, as Karl Popper has explained, it's not the issue who should rule, rather the issue is how to rule. Which class has the right to rule? It's not the issue. The issue is how to rule. What should be the system? What should be the laws? So what is needed are just rules, or say just laws, which favor none and are based on inalienable individual rights and protect these rights, that may bring the whole society to a harmonious state, where there exists no rule of person or persons or any class or any distinguished group of persons. And the second point is, in addition to rules or laws, the book considers the emergence of the institution of state as a great step ahead in the political progress of humankind, and that the foremost purpose of the state is to protect the person and property of individuals and their rights and their freedoms. This it does by formulating just rules and just laws, and by implementing them indiscriminately, which is not the case in Pakistan, and I think certainly elsewhere also. Let me add here that despite the fact that the formation of the state is a great step ahead, presently the states have transformed into huge criminal structures. The state of Pakistan is a case in point. And third point is, and that's the crux of my thesis presented in this book, that pre-modern Ashrafia or pre-modern aristocracy used to derive its power and authority from various distinctions, such as racial superiority, that is descent, divine sanction, that is divine rights of kings, while the Riyasati Ashrafia or state aristocracy derives its power and authority from the institution of the state, be it wealth, clout, privileges or subsidies. The Ashrafia or the aristocracy through the state appropriates everything for itself. That's why I have termed it as the state aristocracy, and I have explained in my book that it's a new class, state aristocracy. Fourth, this book holds Pakistani state aristocracy as the biggest obstacle in the way of the supremacy of the constitution and the rule of law in Pakistan, and also a hurdle in the creation of wealth in Pakistan, since it favors special interests. The book demonstrates that the Pakistani state aristocracy lives via its capture of the state institutions, and resources of the state. Of course, through its powers to levy taxes, its power to regulate business and economy. The heart of the Pakistani state aristocracy consists of politicians, the establishment, that is Pakistan Army, and the bureaucracy. Though the larger alliance of the state aristocracy in Pakistan includes landlords, industrialists, traders, religious ulama, etc. They have made the constitution subservient to their interests. Resources of the state and wealth created by the people of Pakistan, their relish. Whereas security of fundamental rights, that is security of person and property and rights of the ordinary people, is almost an impossibility in Pakistan. What comes to the lot of the ordinary people, ordinary citizens, is endless sufferings at the doors of government offices, the courts, police stations, and the polling stations. And the fifth point is that the book takes notice of the existence of two Pakistans. In the one state of Pakistan, there exist actually two Pakistans. A necessary, and it's a necessary consequence of aristocracy's capture of the state and its resources. In most of the big cities in Pakistan, in terms of social services such as potable water, sanitation, public transport, paved roads, street lights, libraries, parks, playing grounds, two cities may be seen existing. One is for the state aristocracy, one is for the Ashrafia, and one is for the ordinary people. One Pakistan, which is for the ordinary people, is usually with no services at all, or with very low quality of services, and one with good quality services, which is for the Ashrafia or state aristocracy. The book makes a case for an amendment in the Constitution so that these social services with a standard of quality may be guaranteed to all the citizens wherever they live in Pakistan. That does not amount to burdening the public sector, but essentially bringing in the private sector to produce these services, with government playing the supervisory and regulatory role. And the sixth point, this book puts the blame for the formation of Riyasati Ashrafia or the state aristocracy and the capture of the state and market by the state on the shoulders of politicians and political parties. So actually the real culprit in Pakistan are politicians, not army, as is usually understood inside Pakistan and abroad also. I have written extensively about this crime of the politicians and political parties. One of my Urdu book, which in English means Political Parties or Political Arrangements, a philosophical critique of the intricacies of politics in Pakistan, focuses on the same crime and dubs the politician as a criminal class. But nobody seems to buy the point in Pakistan. The dominant view incriminates the Pakistan army for all the ills facing ordinary people in Pakistan. The book dwells on its explanation also, on this point's explanation also. It is politicians and political parties which make constitution and make amendments in the constitution. It is they who contest elections and come to rule and make economic policies. In short, it is they who are constitutionally responsible to rule after winning the election, not the army. If they submit their political and constitutional will and authority to the army, it is their fault. When they are pressured, for instance, by the army, they never resign. And they never resign and come back to the people who actually empower them to rule. The day they realize the source of their power are the people of Pakistan, they will be empowered. But they're comfortable where they stand and what they are doing. That's why Pakistan in the grip of a vicious political circle. This vicious political circle is that now there is a civilian government which actually came as a result of elections, and then the military or Pakistan army stages a coup, and then there is military dictatorship, and then some of the political parties make an alliance and they wage struggle against the military dictatorship, and then there are again elections, and then there is again a civilian government. So it's about 70 years that this circle is being Pakistan's politics is running in the same circle. So that's why Pakistan is in the grip of a vicious political circle. It's the aristocratic hold that has given rise to that circle, and it would be a Herculean task to break this vicious political circle. Actually, as far as my person is concerned, still I am in a fix how to understand how to break this circle, what to do to break this circle. It's quite difficult. The Ashrafi hold or the aristocratic hold in Pakistan is so strong, we cannot imagine. I myself personally feel desperate. Personally feel that there is no point at which we will be able to break this circle. So that is I think it's a sort of an absolute disappointment, a absolute pessimism. We can hope, of course, that such as in Iraq, Saddam Hussein ruled for 35 years, and there was no party, no group which can challenge his authority. So the same is in Pakistan. I don't know what's going to happen again, or will there be some unseen factor which will disturb this situation and there will come some change. So the last point, the book also shows a way to transform the Ashrafi or aristocratic Pakistan into everyone's Pakistan. Of course, by everyone's Pakistan, I mean where everyone's fundamental rights, his personal freedoms are secure. And he is economically free, he is politically free. So the book shows a way to transform the Ashrafi, that is aristocratic Pakistan, into everyone's Pakistan by ensuring personal freedom and along with it economic freedom to all the citizens without any discrimination. The book invites all the classes and groupings of Pakistan to the cause of the rule of the Constitution and the law, and exhorts them to stay on a singular achievement of human civilization, that is law. And finally, I think that humanity is entering a new age of rules, superseding the age of ideologies. We have already overcome the age of ideologies, and I think we have already entered an age of rules, where rules and laws are important, not classes or ideologies. And the present book derives its inspiration from the same enlightenment that we are living in an age of rules. Thank you.
Are there any questions or about his ideas on law and ideologies, or about Pakistan in general, or anything? Then, okay.
Hello, sir. I'm from India, and as you know, our nations have some. I'm from India, as you know, our nations have some. We have a very friendly relationship, as sarcasm. But I was listening to your speech, and I see that a lot of the same problems are very common to India. See, you were talking about the dilemma, but we have a religious organization called the Congress Party, and every other party in India tries to take over from the Congress Party. It's just a different brand name. It's just old wine in a new bottle. Is this problem, do you think this problem, including Bangladesh, I mean, Afghanistan, we more or less is the same. Our brothers in Nepal are presently having constitutional problems, yes. But do you think that we are the way we are today because of the nature of the political climate in the colonial power at the time we gained independence? Do you think that the prevalent socialism in Oxford and Cambridge at that point of time has influenced the intellectual classes in India and Pakistan and all that to create the rise of this Ashrafiyat, as you would like to describe it? Because there's always, in the Soviet Union there was the Politburo, and they were like Bastiat says, communists like to think that they are made of a finer clay than the rest of us humanity. So do you think we inherited it? Had we inherited independence directly, say from a capitalist organization like the East India Company, do you think we might have been more of like a Hong Kong rather than what we both are, our countries are right now?
Yeah, first, we have many similarities. I mean, Pakistan has many similarities with India, but there is a very great difference. Indian army is not that active in imposing martial laws, or somehow it has been barred from that, it has been stopped from that, from imposing martial laws. But Pakistan army is quite active in imposing martial laws and exercising power through, you can say, through veiled threats or whatever is the case. So, and as far as your second question is concerned, of course, I think it requires a lot of research how this state aristocracy or the Ashrafi class has formed in Pakistan and India. And in Pakistan, actually, one of the book from which I have benefited is in Pakistan there is an economist, Dr. Ishrat Hussain. He has been governor of state of Pakistan, and he is sort of a permanent chairman of Civil Services Reform Commission also. So he has he wrote a book and it was published in 1999, I think, and it's Pakistan, the Economy of an Elitist State. And in that book, actually, he tried to demonstrate how the market has been captured by the state, and not by the state, but actually they are politicians who have captured the state and through the state market also. He explained that how subsidies or other benefits, how the state aristocracy or those classes or politicians which are connected with the state and actually exercise state power in this or that form, they appropriate all those benefits. Those benefits never flow down to the people, never flow down to the ordinary citizens. So I think it requires a lot of research. It cannot be summarized in 2 or 3, 4 sentences that how that Ashrafi class has come to form in Pakistan and India.
Thank you. I have a question. Do you think the corruption, the bureaucracy in Pakistan, one of the reasons caused it is by the support by the Chinese communist regime? Because due to the knowledge I know that Chinese government has a very strong relationship with Pakistan's army. Do you think it's one of the main reasons which caused the problems in Pakistan? Thank you.
I believe in common sense. If I do something, I should blame myself. I should not blame China. I should not blame some other persons. We have a saying in Urdu, in our local language, that if someone asks you to jump into a well, and if you jump into that well, it's your fault, not that person who actually exhorted you to jump into the well. So if there is corruption in Pakistan, I don't think China has to be blamed for that. It's Pakistani politicians, and there is also a problem in Pakistan, and there is you can say that it's quite against the common sense. In Pakistan, most of the intellectuals, most of the politicians, and most of the opinion makers believe that it is bureaucracy which is corrupt. I don't think bureaucracy is corrupt. Constitutionally, legally, a minister is empowered to order the secretary to do anything or not to do anything. So it's a case of actually how to fix responsibility, and there is so much confusion in Pakistan. I think there is only one way of fixing the case of responsibility, and that is morally, socially, we may all be responsible for social ills, moral ills. But where there comes legal and constitutional authority, then it is very clear who is legally and constitutionally responsible. So it is the politicians who are legally and constitutionally responsible for the corruption, not the bureaucracy. And China has nothing to do with China has nothing to do with the corruption which is going on in Pakistan.
I would like to ask you, from your long experience, many years of experience with a think tank, essentially your organization, Alternate Solutions Institute, what have you learned from that that you could convey to all of us as the best advice, or at least an alternative to consider in how to approach people with the new ideas of liberalism? And yet you've cautioned us against ideologies. How does all this fit into what you've done and learned?
As I told you, it's quite a perplexing problem what to do, what is to be done. I remember Lenin's book, What is to be done. I have been a Marxist, so I remember that book. And actually I was talking to Ken yesterday. I have participated in many conferences, though it's after about 13 years that I have participated in one of the ISIL conference. I came into contact with Vince in 2001, and I did not meet him, I did not meet Ken, I did not meet Jim Elwood, and I am thankful to all these people. But it is after about 13 years that I am here. And I discussed with Ken that, but apart from ISIL conferences, I have participated in many conferences, and I fear, and I think that I told Ken that there has developed a libertarian orthodoxy. We all libertarians get together and we discuss the same things we agree with, we know. And I told Ken that there is so much repetition. There is so much repetition. We listen to each other and we appreciate each other. And I told him that we should discuss issues on merit. We may discuss what should be the libertarian position vis-a-vis an issue, vis-a-vis a certain issue. And of course, there should not be one position, one libertarian position. If there is one libertarian position, it means it is orthodoxy, it is libertarian orthodoxy. One more thing, as I told you that in Pakistan, I feel, I'm not pessimist about Pakistan, but I feel I have undergone through so many depressions, and I am desperate how to break that cycle. What is happening in Pakistan? How can we change it? And I don't see any way out. At least till now, till this moment, I don't see any way out. But I believe there will be. And after one more thing, about 5 or 6 years, I did active think tanking. But then I thought it's useless, it's not effective. And I believe that think tanking, at least in developing countries, is not effective. But we should. And then I set myself to reading and writing. And I believe that as every people are unique, their problems are unique. So they should have their own unique solutions. They should develop their own local original ideas. I believe that that should be the libertarian way to resolve the problems, and to know the situation which is prevailing in our countries and how to resolve those problems. Libertarianism should be like a guide. Principles are actually guidelines. They cannot be applied as such. So, and that's the difficult task, how to apply principle on particular situations. In Pakistan, I have chosen for myself only for writing, creating ideas, local ideas, original ideas. I'm not repeating those things. I see what's happening in Pakistan and how to understand it and how can we change it. So please, try to understand your own countries, what's happening there, what's going on there, and try to create local original ideas. You can say that's my experience, and that is my learning.